every reasonable precaution domestically as well as internationally. We know that in New York, for example, the New York City Police Commissioner, Ray Kelly, sent out a message to all commands asking them to be on alert in the wake of this announcement of bin Laden's death. We know that in Philadelphia, the police are stepping up patrols around mosques and synagogues, checking them on an hourly basis. We have not heard anything yet from the Department of Homeland Security, but a former DHS official tells me that they have had plans on the shelf for some time that they could pull off in the event of bin Laden's death that would involve heightened protections around transportation hubs, critical infrastructure, and the like. This official stresses, however, that this isn't just about protective measures, that there also is going to be a big step up in intelligence and intelligence gathering. Bin Laden, he points out, has had 10 years to prepare for this eventuality, and there's been some belief in the U.S. government that he may have deployed people here, that he may have sleeper cells in position here in the United States who would, on his death, be triggered into action. So you can imagine that the intelligence community is going to be looking very hard at people who are already on their radar, and they will be looking additionally for others. The big concern that these may be lone wolves, those people are much harder to detect than people who are working in groups. Another thing that's been pointed out to me by a couple of officials is the question of succession. What happens now? As strange as it may sound, there's been some stability under Osama bin Laden. There's been some knowledge of what to expect. With his death, what happens to the organization and with its affiliates? Does it become more radical? Do things become even less stable than they have been thus far? Those are some of the things that they're concerned and worried about this evening, Wolf.
But remember, it was only a week or two ago that Janet Napolitano, the Homeland Security Secretary, she changed the color coding from all the various orange and yellows. Now there are basically two categories. Have they gone up to a higher level of alert as a result of this out of an abundance of caution?
We have seen absolutely no indication that they are doing that at this point in time. They also did say, however, when they announced that new threat warning system, that there would be instances where the public would not be aware of what they were doing, that it might go out specifically to law enforcement or to certain sectors, either geographic or in terms of infrastructure, that we might not be informed. But we've heard nothing tonight that would indicate that they're moving the threat level, but we have seen these indications that additional measures are being taken, certainly by local authorities, though no official word yet from DHS. Wolf.
Yeah, and there's no official word from any of bin Laden's associates over there, any al-Qaeda operatives confirming or denying or saying anything, at least not yet. Stand by. Gene Peter Bergen is here, our national security contributor, someone who was actually interviewed bin Laden back in the 1990s. Got a picture of you and bin Laden. Do you anticipate that what's left of al-Qaeda, the classical al-Qaeda, not al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, al-Qaeda in North Africa, al-Qaeda in Asia, the splinter groups, the original al-Qaeda, will we hear from them at some point?
I think we'll hear from them very quickly. In Islamic sort of practice, for a start, you bury the body very quickly. And you also recognize the death very quickly.
When you say bury the body quickly, I assume they're going to do a full autopsy to see if he did have kidney problems, what issues he might have had. They're not going to just bury him right away.
They're also going to do a DNA match with other members of the family that they collected DNA from. I mean, they'll also take photographs of them and publish them, as they did with the case of Uday and Hussein.
Do you think we'll actually see bin Laden's dead face?
I'm sure we will. As we saw Zakawi's face after he died. I mean, we have to have photographic evidence. We have to have DNA matches, the autopsy. But there is, in Islam, if the body has to be buried in 24 hours, that will happen. I think that there will be reprisals, not necessarily from al-Qaeda itself, although they'll try. But also in Pakistan, bin Laden retained some popularity. His popularity has been receding in recent years, down from a sort of 60% to maybe a 20% level in recent polling. But I think we'll see protests in the streets of Pakistan and some violence
against the United States, you mean?
Against American and also Western targets. Don't forget, of course, the United States is not the only country that's involved in this. The largest British terrorist attack in British history was carried out by al-Qaeda on July 7th, 2005. Al-Qaeda has attacked in many other countries. So, of course, the United States is the main target, but there are other subsidiary targets for al-Qaeda and its affiliates a lot of people will feel the necessity to try and, create some kind of reprisal against